Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing today? I hope you're all doing very, very well. First off, thank you, Pink, for getting first. Thank you, Moreau, for getting second. Thank you, Lilybad, for getting third. And sorry, I'm running late. I may have had my alarm go off, woke up, and immediately shut it off. And then instead of getting up, I was like, oh, cool. I'm awake. I should get up now. And immediately went back to sleep. Luckily, the dear lovely keeper gave me a call and woke me up. So, good morning, Pinky Bird. Lovely to see you. Good morning, silly cat girl. Lovely to see you. Thank you so much for the follow. Good morning, Jay. How are you doing today? Good morning, Aura and Moreau and Chelsea and Lilybad, of course. And good morning, Microwave. Am I? Very tired. But mostly just so because I only just woke up. But I'll be better very, very soon. Fortunately, I didn't have enough time to make coffee this morning, but I'll have a nice coffee after the stream. Alright. Is everybody just waking up, going to sleep? Or what's the vibes for today? Morning, Moss Dwarf. How are you doing today? You make me a coffee? I'd appreciate that. Doesn't even need to be good coffee. In all honesty, I could run over there right now, throw the coffee together with my instant coffee, and be done in a second. I appreciate that, Jay. And for everybody who had to wait for me, oh, don't be nervous, silly cat girl. Nothing to be nervous about. This is a relaxing space. At least this morning it is. The only morning that'll be different will be on Sunday. Because we'll be playing a little 7 Days to Die with a lovely, lovely Dar. Oops. No, that's not what I wanted. One second while I adjust something here. Perfect. So today we're going to be doing a little bit more of Citizen Sleeper. Good morning, Goose. It's been a little bit. How you doing? And good morning, Casey. And Kimizu, good morning, good morning, good morning. Should I play more of the game? Oh, what's wrong, Laura? Why aren't you feeling well? What's going on? And we're gonna rearrange the screen a little bit here. And there we go. Good morning, Fabry. How you doing? Really good game that got me in the feels. Not bad. Oh, what game was that? What game did you play? It sounds lovely. I'm sorry to hear you're sad. You sound like a citizen sleeper. I am a sleepy citizen. And that's why we have G-subs. Shady part of me. Oh. I'll have to check it out. Remind me and I'll check out the game. How you doing, Fabry? Good to see you. Okay. Let's see. We're starving. I don't think we have a stabilizer. We have one stabilizer. That'll get us through this. So let's take that real quick. Good morning, Zoms. Thank you so much for the follow. See, Moreau, you are short, but it's okay. You're allowed to be short. There's nothing wrong with being short, is there? I'd love to help you, Casey, if you need help. He called me Opa, as in like German grandfather. Oh, that's so silly. Yes, Goose, please do that. I'd love to see that. Aura, sweetie. Oh, no, as in daddy, or... So... Aura. You're doing great, Aura. You are a very, very incredible person. I know things can feel a bit difficult sometimes. Maybe you feel like you aren't doing enough, but Aura, you're gonna do amazing things. I'm so excited to see the way you grow and to see how you change and the things you achieve. Give yourself a chance to do great things. And let me know when you start working on them so I can be there with you. Aura, you're going to do amazing. You have the skills. You have the perseverance. All you gotta do is do it. And you're kind. And you're such a lovely person to be around. I know you are, because people are always excited to see you. So, thank you. Thank you for being you. And thank you for the redeemer. Good morning, Ishmael. How you doing? I'm doing well. Gonna drink some water real quick. Good morning, Pinky. Well, you're not the first person to call me daddy. Not that that's my personal thing. I'm just saying you should never let it bother you. But yes. Now where are we going? What was I doing? Alright, we have enough food. I do need to start saving money. Thank you, microwaver. Robin, no arguing over there. Stinky Shark. You calling each other stinky? How dare you? Good morning, Robin. You haven't showered since last year. What do you mean, Pinky? How's that even possible? That's terrifying. I'm worried about you. What have you been doing? That's so much time, Pinky. Good morning, Anya. Alright. I'm gonna steal one last shipment. Ooh. No, I don't believe it's a joke. I think that you've just been stinky. It's okay to be a little stinky, though. Just make sure you wash yourself, okay? Oh, I'm proud of you, Anya. Good job. That's fair. You are very tiny. I get it. Good morning, Collis. How you doing? Alright, I have half a ship mine. But I need to figure out how to reassemble the ship mine. Where on earth could we go for this? If I were a ship mind, where would I be? Sorry to hear your leg hurts. Zionist, good morning, good morning, good morning. How you doing? And good morning, human. And good morning, Sophie. How's everyone doing today? Oh, I know we saw it the other day. I guess we'll just hold on to these mind components. Good morning, Sugar Pill. How was the stream? What were you doing? Check Go Scientist. They are a patient advocate, as well as a medically related streamer as well. They make some fantastic streams, are an incredible content creator, and a very great artist. Please go check them out. Minecraft, and nice. That's always fun. Okay. I think we still need some more spores for this. Oh, I got some more spores. Thank you for the lurk. But hello, Raiders. My name's LuckyJene. I'm a gambler, a writer, a flirt. And... oh, we have no more dice. What am I doing? And every morning, during the week, I do ASMR gaming. I hope it's something that you all can enjoy. And if not, that's okay too. We're just having comfy, cozy vibes today. Oh, what did Jay say about you? She's been naughty. Sophie, what have you been doing? Let's see if we can find where I need to go this time. Yes, I think I want to finish getting this little green place done. So first, we're going to collect some spores. While the grove mushrooms are dangerously inconsistent, spores provide a space. Oh, 1 second, chat. I'm blocking my vision here. We're gonna do this. There we go. While the grove mushrooms are dangerously inconsistent, spores provide a chance to gather or study these species in an untouched form. You find clumps and spores in a passage, dripping with moisture. You can gather them quickly, unable to identify their sources. Thank you for the link, Chelsea. No one's getting spanked. That's not my thing. The old growth of the aviary has created a rich medium. Hi, Scarlet Rose. Thank you so much for the raid. Can we get a shout out for the lovely Scarlet Rose? Scarlet, what were you doing? They'll grow well here. The moist corner of the aviary makes the perfect beds for the spores. Once they are found, they can be left to grow. And there we go. Might take a while. How many days? 4 days. But in 4 days, we'll have a lovely little mushroom bath. Oh, that always sounds like fun. I hope you had a good time. Welcome in, Raiders. Overwatch Stadium, is that something new? I've never heard of that before. Okay. We're gonna see if we can explore this place for a bit. Getting to know the Rotund doesn't just mean the new place to visit, it means keeping your eyes on the arrivals too. This would be the quickest way of learning anything. Haventage security has to have plans. Stealing them would be the fastest way to get to know this place and the most dangerous. And are they guys doing maid cafe shop? That sounds fun. That sounds like fun, Anya. You should definitely do it. And A, we got it. First try. Easy. We're gonna just chat here again so I can see you all better. There we go. Redeem, what did I miss? Oh! Lovely, lovely Goose. Good morning, Goose. Goose, you are very, very appreciated here. I love seeing you coming into stream and getting to have some time to speak with you. You're very kind, friendly, and so very, very wonderful. You are gorgeous. And you're just a great person, I hope you know that. You deserve only the best. And as long as you're here, I'll make sure that always happens. I appreciate you so very, very much. You wonderful person, you. Thank you so much for the redeem. Mwah. Oh, she's tough looking. And Kita. Hey, you, wanna earn a chint? Kita stands beside a huge pile of tied together home plates. She's stretched out her back, her shoulders bulging beneath her flight suit. Make it too. Kita laughs. This goddamn station. She sighs and pinches the bridge of her nose. Oh, your tummy's upset. Well, lovely. You take it easy, okay? Don't let your tummy hurt you too much. She sighs and pinches the bridge of her nose. Thank you for the alcohol list. Alright, come here then. You cross the docking concourse as she begins to split the plating in two bundles. What is it with this place? She asks. As she angrily lashes the massive plates together, everyone wants their cut. She straightens up to an imposing height, her armor plates creaking and looks up and down. Or is it just that you all think I'm an easy mark? We all need to survive. This is Citizen Sleeper Chat. And Kita softens. I get it. I do. She shakes her head. But if I can go just one cycle without some jumped up grifter trying to take me for an idiot, that'd be nice. And Kita hoists one bottle of plating onto her shoulder. Come on then. Enough chat. You've got to earn those chits. You struggle to shoulder the plates, but you do eventually. And Kita gives you a look. Ship's this way, and she sets off down a gantry at impressive speeds. As you catch up to her, she turns down a passageway, pushing through a small crowd of stevedores. Good job, Anya. Why are you doing this yourself? You mean, why aren't I hiring those good folk? She nods back at the stevedores. I've paid Haventage enough. They're currently rinsing me from mooring. I can't vacate unless I either fix the ambergris or sell it off as scrap. The ambergris is your ship? That's kind of funny, chat. Do you know what ambergris is? Do you know what ambergris is, chat? Ambergris is the substance that comes up onto beaches that's used in perfumes. It's very, very expensive, and if you ever find it, you can easily make $10,000 to $100,000 depending on the size of the ambergris. And ambergris comes from one place. Whales. It's whale vomit, but is used as a scent binder and is used in some of the most expensive perfumes in the world. Which is funny, because her ship is stuck here. It's swept up on the beach, just like a pool of whale vomit. You catch on fast. She gives you another of her looks. Thank you for the like, butt goose. She rapidly turns around a corner as you trail behind. She got cut up pretty bad on her last job, and I had to moor her for a spell. But since then, it's only gotten worse. Someone got in and sliced the core from our ship mind, so now she's gone dark. She shifts the panels on her shoulder. The upshot is that I'm short one ship mind with a ton of repairs to do, And the rest of the crew signed off the moment they got wind I'd been stranded. So yeah, it's been time. Anything I can do to help? I don't know, you got a ship mine tucked away on your frame of yours. For a moment, you aren't sure if she's serious. And Kita swings the plates from her back, almost knocking you over in the process. This is me. She hauls the second bundle off your shoulder. You're the first person I've ever met here who might actually be considered helpful. Look, you want to help? Come see me. I need a hand putting Amber back together. You don't seem like the type to try anything stupid. She passed the bundles of plate through the ambergris outer lock, then turns back. Just don't go spreading all this around. And Kita throws you a couple chips. She gives you a parting nod and ducks through the doorway. All right, get out of here. She calls back and the lock slams shut. You know, we actually do have ship mine components. We might actually be able to help her out pretty decently. And Kita has a couple glitched repair drones in storage. If you can rewire them, they can repair the ambergris for you. Very interesting. I don't know which one we want to do. Let's try this. There we go. Behave yourself, Sophie. And I'll do a little engineering. Actually, we need money, don't we? Because this isn't the space for more. No. I didn't realize I had so many things I could do. Let's go work on the ship down there. Or my own little home. There it is. With all the materials, the unit now needs sealing, section by section, to be usable. It's a laborious task, but the outcome's worth it. No. You have to tear out and rebuild some of the ventilation systems. It's a tough job, but satisfying. With all the materials, the unit now needs sealing. You track down a difficult leak and close it up. After working, you look over the wreck of the unit. Almost there. So close. I think we might be able to finish the apartment. All right. That would be adorable on you. Maybe I should give you all the ability to put little things in my hair. And we're gonna take a little risk with this last one. Come on, you can do it. We finished it. And we now have a new home chat. There's signs that a stray animal has been nosing around near the unit. A handful of shit for some crackers should bring it out of hiding. You buy the crackers in the shop unit downstairs and crumble them up in the tray. Something moves in the shadows. The stray hops up onto the work surface. Look at the kitty. Looks out of the unit's small window. It doesn't acknowledge your presence. It just sits there, beside the tray of crumbled crackers staring out of the low end. What is this cat's story? Are there more on the station? You haven't seen another in the low end, but in a vast megastructure that means little, there could be a whole colony of cats like this down in one of the warrens. You look at its sleek, dark fur, sharp eyes. It doesn't look ragged. It looks at home. In fact, its presence in the unit makes you wonder if this is a stray's apartment which you're squatting in. Or watch the stray. Though the stray is looking out of the station, you feel his attention on you, waiting for you to spring your trap. You remain relaxed, watch as something flickers in its eyes, perhaps the reflection of a passing ship. The stray settles in a little, and starts eating, picking up broken crackers. You don't remember ever having been this close to an animal. It triggers something in you, a recognition of life, totally unlike your own, but still somehow connected, parallel, even interwoven. The stray licks crumbs from its fur. Stay silent. You sense the stray doesn't like to talk. The stray prefers just to be. You think just to share space and a moment with those it meets. You respect this. In a way, you feel the same. Being here together is enough. You turn your eyes to the window, the one that the stray looks out of, and you both watch the stars and the ships together. You feel something pass between you and the stray, a kind of acknowledgement of each other, a sense that each of you might share something with the other, a point of connection. Then all at once, the stray yawns. Good morning, Cozy Core. Hops down from the unit and brushes along your legs. And then it's gone. Out through the unit door and back into the quarters of the low end. Good, Pinky. That's the goal. You should be falling asleep. Okay, we need some mushies. We need to eat to keep ourselves alive. There we go. And we need to make some money. It's okay, Pinky. Relax. Nothing bad's gonna happen here. Nice. Not as much money as I want, but it'll do. Must have a drink. You're unsure if your frame can metabolize alcohol, but this fungal drink fermented in the green way seems like a good test. The Overlook isn't exactly a restaurant, meaning the only way you can trust around here is with a stiff drink. We're gonna get drunk. And mossy tones and asinine shapes, sharpness fill your mouth. It isn't totally unpleasant, but at least you can taste it. The glass shatters on the steel beside you, and the taunt doesn't take long to follow. Hey, Haunt, the spacer calls across the low room. What are you doing here? He laughs at his own lame joke. Playing human? Ignore him. You hunch a little further, staring at the hundreds of tiny impact points at the scar the bar's surface. A hand falls on your shoulder, but as you flinch away, it pats reassuringly. You freeze in place. Out, the voice comes from behind you, spat out like a shot. You turn to see bright eyes, dark hair, a stare that could breach the wall and vent you all into the hard vacuum. As you turn back to the spacer, the second glass comes sailing through the air. Catch. You reach up a hand, and the glass shatters across your forearm, showering you with fragments. Through the haze of glass and grill vapor, you see Tala leap the bar and close the distance to the spacer. The thud as he slams into the wall echoes around the bar like thunder. Now flanked by other figures, quick to their feet, Tala throws the spacer out through the door and stands silhouetted against the rotunda lights. You touch your arm, and it feels wet. Someone helps you to your feet, back onto your stool. Broken glass rattles as it cleared, and fresh measure of Griol is glugged out in front of you. The same hand, warm, heavy, falls on your shoulder once more. He isn't coming back. We don't tolerate that kind of shit here. Tala flops onto the stool beside you. Let me get a look at you. Tala wipes the powdered glass from around the wound, and someone places a bottle of alcohol and metal tin with tweezers on the bar. She disinfects them and then turns to you. That was an ambitious catch, she smiles, pulling a sliver of glass from your forearm. Stupid, but ambitious. You don't feel the pain, only the sting of status messages your body delivers concerning dermal damage and exposed structures. You do feel the care, though, as Tala's bright eyes search your thick synthetic skin for splinters. Watch her. Tala works with the skill of someone who has had to pick glass splinters from the skin of a stranger before. She hones in on each bright shard, all the time tapping the tweezers in little rhythms that only she can follow. Tala smiles to herself. So you been on the eye for long? Long enough. She laughs. Hey, you don't need to act tough with me. Aye, Echo, good morning. A splinter clinks into the tin. Not everyone is like that idiot. We don't all hate you, she glances around. Some of the regulars, maybe, they fear you. Maybe they're just curious. I don't know. But I do know that the Overlook is a safe place. I know what it's like to be in a new place. Trust me, she meets your eye. I'm not trying to convince you of anything, or separate you from your chits. I just want you to know that if you need somewhere, you can always come here. I know the rations we get aren't much, and the company is, she leans in, limited. But if you need work, I'll happily put you behind the bar, and if you need shelter, well, we can discuss that. You'll be safe. I usually have Francis on the door, but he's up in the greenway this cycle, haggling with our supplier. Francis tends to be particular about what we serve, even if the clientele isn't. That reminds me of the time I helped move old rough wood furniture for my dad. We're hauling a dresser to truck, my grip slipped. I got splinters up all my forearms. Oh, that sounds awful. This game calls to Citizen Sleeper. You are a person who sold their body to a corporation, and your brain got uploaded onto a robot. You get put through hard labor and all sorts of tasks, and you decided one day that you wanted to escape. So when the ship that you're on gets attacked and crashes, you manage to escape and end up on the Eye as a piece of salvage. You got pulled out, and you decided to start trying to live your life there. Unfortunately, corporations don't like losing their property, and you're definitely considered property. So as time passes, your body breaks down in planned obsolescence, and you need a stabilizer to take regularly to keep your body whole. You also need energy, and you get that through food. And so, with that being considered, your need to be stabilized, your need for food, you have the entire station to explore and to find a place to be. As well as, well, it seems like the corporation might be coming back after us again. And so I'm trying to make as many friends as I can before the corporation tries to come take us. She places her tweezers in the tin. They do look cool, don't they? That's you, Sleeper. Here. She slides the glass of grill to you. This'll help. She stops, her hand still on the glass. Wait, does this help? I mean, can you get drunk? Let's find out. She laughs. Just don't sit here too long. I'd hate to see you become a real regular. She walks back across the bar, gathering the glass as she does. Before long is retelling how she threw the spacer out to a new group that just wandered in, complete with dramatic actions. She gestures in your direction, and you instinctively look away, back to the worn surface of the bar. You take a sip of Creole. The earthy fungal tones fill your senses, almost blocking out sight and sound. Like diving headfirst into the bog, you may not be able to get drunk, but this connection to something grown, something fermented, something old, feels good. Anya, you are such a good girl. Always such a good girl. Mwah. Good morning, Moxie. How are you doing? I'm doing very well today, Pinky. How are you doing? Pinky Birdie. This is what I've been looking. The ship mine cannot be built from scratch, but if you have enough, salvage fragments may be reassembled with a fabricator. The fabricator whirs and crackles as it assembles the ship mine. It opens to reveal a complete but heavily dented unit. Nice. Alright. I have an idea. If we up interface enough, that means welcome back, Bird. You don't want to be Birdie, but Birdie's so cute. I am still sleepy, Jay. I was sleeping and woke up. Well, welcome. Glad you're awake. Good. You're Birdie now. Let's go check to see if there's anything we can loot here. I need a good Havenich. Oh, it's so annoying to have such a good thing to roll. Nothing. Poor angel. Who's the poor angel? 1 and 3. I'm an angel. Oh, I'm most definitely no angel. But I appreciate you think I am. What wasted potential. Not a one of these will fit. I'm most definitely not perfect. But I do think it is our job to try to be as good as we can be. Let's go check this office. This note is barely visible. Just an access key left on a long-forgotten desk in a sealed Solheim office. Thank you for the follow, Fengu the Panda. A little devil with good intentions. A dog. I like a little devil with good intentions. That one's kind of cute. Alright, I think we have some more story we can explore. I appreciate the hugs. No, we're not ready yet for the story. Guess we'll keep waiting a bit longer. It was not intended to be evil. But that's fair. Time to get some sleep, chat. And maybe we'll run into the cat again. Yay, we're gonna feed the cat more. If you buy the crackers and put them out, the stray will always come. Doesn't mean they like you, though. They're a cat after all. Oh, the cat didn't actually come this time. Can I feed it more? No, we're not going to feed it more. It'll come when it wants to come. Time to end the cycle. Not a dog. Okay. Let's grab some files. That one should do, huh? Give me all the data. Come on. There we go. Hydrate. Thank you for the hydrate. I really appreciate it. You know I'll forget to hydrate myself if you all don't remind me. Okay, let's go to Castor. Good morning, Castor. Oh. He doesn't... Oh. Well, that was a waste of time, chat. Apparently he doesn't want the information I have. Red Bull isn't water. Make sure you drink real water, it's very important. Alright. What are the old car up to? Let's give him the data that he's asking for. Let's see what happens. A ship mind? I don't even want a ship mind. But I guess we have one now. Interesting. Good morning, Nika. How you doing? But it tastes good. I'm sure. Chad, if you're feeling like you are struggling to stay awake, or that you don't have the energy, don't go to energy drinks. Please try vitamin B12 instead. It is what is in energy drinks to give you energy. Very different from caffeine. And vitamin B12. Go get some of it. Alright, let's go get our fixing of the ambergris. You got blessed by my tweet. Oh, what tweet is that? What tweet blessed you? It turns out years of retrofits have made amber a fragile patient. Each repair is 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Anika? No. Ankita. Ankita needs all the help she can get with the ambergris. Pocket marked with damage to the hole is a good place to start. D vitamin is important too. It is. A lot of people lack D vitamin. Be careful taking too much melatonin. Melatonin can cause a reduction in other bodily chemicals and can make it so that you feel more sad. Melatonin should not be taken by people who also take antidepressants. Ooh, a sealed duck. What's this? Ooh. These old maglocks look like they each need encrypted key to open. Why the heavy security on a decaying dock? I want to see what's behind it. The mag lock thing's open. You can remove it from the entryway onto the next one. The mag lock thing's open. You can move it from the entryway onto the next one. 2 mag locks seal the entryway to this dock. It doesn't look like anyone has been here in years. As you slip inside the sealed dock, a pulsing light grabs your attention. Among the discarded tubing and rusted plates, a machine flickers with a warm glow. Nice. Approach the machine. As you get closer, you recognize the machine's blocky shape. Settled into the alcove in the side of the dock, a kind of upright cabinet. It is covered in faded logos and messages from which you assume it was once an industrial vendor, intended to disperse and manufacture ship fittings and other mechanical parts necessary for regular running of freight and resource extraction vessels. The manufacturer is listed as Neovend. You remember an advert from long ago, squeezed among all the off-world recruitment drives that assaulted every planet-born citizen, which triply sang that name over and over. You wipe a layer of dust from the cracked screen, thinking of those contractors, squeezed by their own corporate employers to pay for every bit of minor maintenance on their rented ships. That's crazy. Imagine living in a place where not only do you rent your ship, but you have to pay for the parts to repair your rented ship. Enter your registration, that chirps, a pre-recorded message catching you off guard. Yeah. Chemical imbalances can be difficult to set right by just finding the right happy things. You reach for the keypad and something begins whirring. At the first, it sounds like servo motors. Like servo motors starting up, but it quickly becomes a whisper, a whining, then a multitonal voice that emanates from Neovend. Entity, they hiss, speak with me. Who's there? This is a squeal, almost like some strange mechanical swallowing or intake of breath before the machine speaks again. I have need of you, you have need of me. The squeal comes again, and you see that it is a 3D printing apparatus in the upper part of the machine, resting into place, so that each time the servos can be orchestrated to produce the whirring, whining voice. That's insane. It is talking to us through the squeaks of a 3D printer. You are in danger. Danger? You are marked for deletion, entity. Hunter tracks you. The screech rattles through the empty dock. You remember the strange head, the figure, the threads closing in. Hunter, the Hunter protocol, they taste your signature. The sudden whine sets your teeth on edge. You've seen them. This is the gift of the emulated mind. You close your eyes and the skeleton of the station starts to thrum. Emulated minds are adaptable, move where neurons cannot. The mechanism resets, but emulation makes you a target. Adaptable. Yes, you can move through networks, clouds, hardware, software, new vent wines, but you cannot hide there. Hunter's there. The servos judder the vending machines, casing it as they rest. Hunter searches for me also. Hide in this machine. You look at the ruined vending machine, an unusual hiding place for sure. Can counter Hunter, but need entity outside the machine. Thank you for the like, birdie. Mwah. Need you. A screen attached to the vending machine with a swiveling arm comes to life. Displays a flickering map of the station, ghostly threaded. The clown points along the rim glow in the deep red. Hunter is always gathering. Too much data. Must build nests. Explains Neovend. Masters are gone, but continues to hunt, bring this data, raid its nest. The station builder, Solheim, the machine rumbles impatiently. Long ago, their protocols still haunt. Bring offerings, save self, Neovend says pointedly. Mutual need means friends, they conclude. Tired of the conversation. The whirring amplifies and then suddenly drops as the mechanism within the machine clicks back into place. The glow fades, and you're left stood in the dark of the sealed dock. boring voice ringing in your ears. Interesting. Interesting. We're gonna hunt the hunter, chat. Oh, so cool. I love the hunter. It's such a unique concept. A program out in the void and its non-physical body being just so bizarre and eldritch looking. I love the concept. They did a great job with it. Back to bed we go. Oh, we should probably eat a little. Let's get some food, chat. Chat. I apparently got messaged by somebody saying, tell me why my tires are flat when I'm trying to get my kid to their first day of work. I think that's the wrong message, but, you know, I hope whoever that is doing okay. Oh, this food's too expensive. We're gonna get some cheap food. Hi, keeper. Alright, back to our repaired unit. We'll feed the cat. We always feed the cat. The stray crunches up the crackers as you watch. Sometimes they let you stroke them, sometimes not. Hi, Sophie. Good morning, cat. How you doing? Oh, we have some good dice today. Let's use them well. We'll finish her off. Oh, we won't risk it. We'll just get positive. And Kita is crouched in the computing core of the ambergris, swearing to herself when you enter. She doesn't look up. These shits completely ruin the core's connectors when they cut it. She holds up a thick fistful of ragged wires. The ship mine they ripped won't even be usable without replacing these. She throws the bundle of wires across the room. Amateurs. Repair it? Nothing to repair. We need an entire ship mine. Not exactly the first thing you could expect to dredge up from a scrap freighter. She sighs. Fragments, maybe. Sections of a mine, but complete ship mine? No way. Ankita climbs out of the cooling well the ship mine could be. The space suddenly crowded with her on the same level as you, towering over you as she stoops beneath the low curved ceiling. Come on, nothing to be done here now. She leads you back through the cuts of the amber. Though you could find the way back yourself, the repair process has left you familiar with the cutter's idiosyncratic layout, all diagonal angles and bundled dooms. Close your eyes, Anya, and just lay down. And Kita seems lost in thought, and you focus on the corridors, ducking below conduits and passing through bulkheads. Eventually you arrive in the galley. Though it's hard to tell, most of the benches and prep surfaces are covered in half-stripped components and welded hole patches. Kita shoves a box of filters to the floor and sits. There's no way around it. She starts out of nowhere. We need a new ship mine. I can salvage one. I like your confident, sleeper. Maybe if we check the ore exchange or speak to some scrap dealers. She shoves her forehead. Seems like I'm about to do something very stupid, but hey, I came here, didn't I? Why not make a run of it? She fixes you with a hard stare. Sleeper, you've all I've got. No crew, no friends. You're it. She looks uncomfortable. I appreciate the time you've put in on the amber, and I'm sure she would too if she could. What I'm saying is, if you screw me on this, I'll kill you. Honey, I'm giving you free stuff. Why are you trying to kill me? She leans over and hands you a stack of chits. A big stack of chits. You don't dare to count them. Get me the shit mine sleeper. Don't make me regret this. You won't. She sighs. Look, just get out of here before I change my mind. You slip out the galley and head back toward the main lock. As you do, Amber growls and creaks like a caged animal. Reach out a hand to calm her. Time to find Ankita's ship mind somehow. Honey, that's a lot of money. Thank you so much for the money, but I already have the ship mind. I've had one for a while now. You could have had it for free. Ankita gave you a stack of chits so you could acquire a ship mind for Amber. Better make sure to deliver. And there we go. One ship mind. A bunch of stuff's about to go down, Chad. I hope you know that. I'm excited. You drop the ship mine core onto the galley table with an empathic bang. Oh, empathic bang. Thank you for the follow, Eddie. Ankita spins around from where she's been poring over some documents on her slate. Holy shit, Sleeper, did you actually land a ship mine? She rushes over and hefts the huge cylinder, turning it back and forth. Well, shit, it might actually work. She smiles wider than you've ever seen. Where'd you get it? I built it. Built it? Well, you are full of surprises. Ankita bangs on the galley wall. Hear that, Amber? The Sleeper got you a new ship mind. The sound echoes down the ship. How are you doing this morning, Eddie? The sound echoes down the ship's passage. You have to admit, being in a small space with Ankita when she's excited is a little intimidating. Ankita puts the ship mind back on the table. I'll start the process of fitting it as soon as I can. I might need your help with some event. Good morning, Lynx. She heads back towards the counter to grab her slate. This isn't the only good news today, either. Looks like my good karma's finally coming in. How you feeling today, Lynx? She shows the slate on the table and spins it to you so you can see the screen. Take a look at this. You see a list of names and numbers, nothing that exciting, along with what looks like a transit timetable. I found them. The thieves? Exactly. Well, the thieves singular. She points at the name of the list, or more specifically, Ashton Cade. It was his pass that was used to access the amber and slice the ship mind. I thought he might have been killed or robbed, his pass stolen, but it turns out he crossed the Founder's Gap the very next cycle. How do you know? I know some of the crew over at the ferry, old mercs, used to run an outfit I worked with. I saw them in the Overlook, and they mentioned they saw Ashton crossing. I'll check the manifest, and there he was. I'm glad. Looks suspicious. He hasn't said a word since the theft. Anybody wanting to hide out might head to the Greenway and go to the ground. Fox says he won't get far, though. There's no real docks out there, only a couple of jetties in the waste. So what now? Now I fight the ship mine. That's the first priority. Maybe you could help me out? How? It's like this. I head over there, especially in the amber. He'll spot me a mile off. Go underground. He'll find a way to slip the station or bury himself so deep in the waste no one will ever find him. But you, Ashton doesn't know you. Just relaxing, enjoying my little story game. Close your eyes then, Eddie. Relax a bit. All I need is for you to go there and sniff around. Not at the commune, not at the stacks. You will have gone to the edges, the margins, the wild places. That's what Ashton likes. You see him. You locate him. Ping me on this. She hands you a calm earpiece. Seeing as this is merc work, I'll happily be giving you a merc bay. She shifts in her seat. The thing is, I haven't got much left, so how about I tell the boys who run the ferry to give you a discount? I know it's not much, but once I grab the card, I'll pay up to 200 cryo. Nothing less. What do you say? Sure. She gives you a heavy whack on the shoulders. Good, I owe you. She lifts the shipment onto her shoulder with worrying ease. I'm going to go get this fitted into Amber's core. You get any info, any sense of Ashton's in hiding, let me know. She goes to turn and then stops. Once again, Sleeper, thank you. I appreciate it. And Kita stomps off into the guts of Amber with the ship mine, leaving you in the galley. You glance around. A sudden nervous energy descends at what is to come. You've never thought you'd get work as a mercenary, but then again, it seems like the eye is full of surprises. Thank you for the stretch and thank you for the hydrate. Good morning, Snowy. And hydrate. Alright. We have a few more stories we can actually grab here today. Kind of excited. Bliss Bay, how much money does she need? Exactly 100. A scam or an opportunity. Bliss seems solid enough, and this might be your best chance to get into the humps for bear trade. Bliss is incredibly grateful. I'll pay you back every chit, I promise you. I guess you two are partners now. That's 3 days there. Trust me, it's probably passed away. You don't need to worry about it. And now we're going back across. Fang. When you enter the service dock, Fang is already set up, crouched among the stacks of equipment. He's leaning over a terminal, bathed in a balloon glow. He looks totally at home. Oh, well, I hope the new carpet you're getting is nice. Sleeper, what do you think? Turns out not everyone in Havagage is set against me. A couple of my old system bows managed to ship me some of my old gear. He gestures at the pile of blinking hardware. The mess is here. Fang laughs. Don't question the process, Sleeper. What are we looking at? One massive smoking gun. He raises his eyebrow. Fang beckons you over. He has a set of scans of the waste on his terminal with heat mats of activity overlaid. A chunk of derelict rim is blotchy with bright red and orange marks. I like your cute little emote. Does this look like a wasteland to you? Fang shakes his head. There's hundreds of Conway machines out there, all lined up in concealed hangars, and a whole underground facility supporting them. Hardin has got a crew out here, putting them together. They must have shipped them piece by piece to the shipyard, ready to assemble out there. Machines. Really, Sophia? That's Conway's whole thing. Remote-operated vehicles, drones, cutter, salvage haulers, the full set. Maybe Hardin masked this whole thing as effort to clean up the waste, but there's no way that this is pulling scrap off the eye. Bang looks worried, and why is Conway in the mix? I bet no one in Havenenge knows another corporation is setting up on the station. They aren't stupid either. These scans are best info I can get. The wastes are cut off from the eye. Cloud of networks and greenways in a total dark zone. No data can come in or out. We can't hack them. We can't from here. He turns and winks. So I'm going to pay them a visit. Dude, too risky. You forgot. Havenage comes in and out of their all cycle. I should be able to get in. As long as no one I know sees me. He grimaces playfully. But I need you on the outside to help disable security systems and cut me a pathway through. There's no cloud access, but if I can get inside, I can open up nodes in their network. Not the first time I've heard that, Sophie. Can open up nodes in their network, we can work in tandem. It's a massive facility buried deep down there. Miles of corridor and bedways wrapped around cargo bays and hangars, so it'll take more than a few cycles to work through it. but as long as you can keep them off my back, I know I can rip what we need out of there. He pulls a handful of ripper worms from his pocket and hands them to you. And these are the last of my little helpers I managed to salvage, so make them count. I modified them slightly. This time they'll feed their data threads back into the system that they're tunneling into. Thank you for the follow, music lover 1284. I really appreciate it. And they're tunneling into, creating a nasty little feedback loop. We run it just like we did with the agents. Hack the notes. I ping to locate the ports for the security system, then slot the worms in those systems and let them go to town. He points to a fuzzy silhouette of the buried facility on the terminal. Here's the entryway. This is where you can get access and slot the first worm. They'll fry the perimeter systems and get me past the first cordon. What I need from you is to keep your eyes on the facility after you kick things off. You'll see me pop up a security system, a server bank. You need to break in and slot a ripper to disable it as soon as you can. If I don't, Fang gives you a hard look. You miss a system. You wait too long. They're gonna find me. Simple as that. He claps you on the shoulder. I need you to focus on this one, so I'm going to let you fire the starting gun. I won't go until you slot that first worm. I leave a tracker running on the terminal here, so come back here if you want to see my progress. He affectionately pats the top of the screen. Got it. Don't worry. You can run rings around the protocols. I've seen it. Feng gets up. It's all in place. You just need to make your own preparations and slot that worm. He stretches. Just don't wait too long. I'm getting bored of all this sneaking around. Once I'm inside, I'll get proof we need to end this whole thing, no matter what. He crouches to check the terminal. We can't take longer than 6 cycles on this thing, remember that. Oh, and one last thing. He lowers his voice. If I get caught, or you can't reach me, or we run out of time, there's one thing I need you to do. What? You take whatever I managed to pull at that point, all the data, you slot that stuff straight into the relay I've set up here. He points to a pile of servers and terminals, hooked up into the dock with cables as thick as your arm. I purposed the dock's SOS broadcast system to beam out whatever you put in. Anyone with a terminal, a slate, or a server on the eye will see it. That means Havogen, Yatakan, the hub, everyone. No matter what, Hardin isn't snaking away this time. He grins. Got a bit more to do here, but the moment you slot that first worm, I'll make my move. He gives you a parting smile and turns back to the terminal. The nerves hit as you make your way out of the service dock. Time to prepare yourself. Okay. This is going to be interesting. We're going to need to do a little preparation here. Perk predictive rewards. I can gain energy from this. Interesting. And this one, Yatakan operates in kind basis, you're told. So you can get scrap components. Okay. Let's try this. I want to do one of these and just succeed and see what kind of scrap components we get. Okay, just salvage, not much. And then let's try to patrol the ward. Hi, Nikyo. And good morning, Blorbus. How are you doing today? Kala, sweetie. You are so very, very wonderful. You are very kind and sweet, and I've appreciated seeing you here today. You are just such a wonderful person. You are just incredible, so lovely, and very, very talented. I know the world can be hard sometimes, but I know you'll always make it through. keep pushing forward. Be the lovely person I know you can be. And the world will give you back exactly what you deserve. Never forget how incredible you are, just for being you. My lovely Colin. Mwah. Thank you so much for the redeem. We did get energy. Look at that. You help a dentist running a surgery. They offer you restorative infusion. 1 second, Shan, I need to adjust this. Unfortunately, y'all are blocking the reading again. There we go. You help a dentist running a surgery from their unit. With their equipment, they offer you restorative infusion. You feel better immediately. That's a good way to get free food. Didn't even think about that. Stabilizer's decently cheap. I should probably buy one now while I still can. Let me go get some money. Put them in rice. Oh, that's so much money. I'll grab a stabilizer. What do we want to do with these last four? These last four on the dice. Thank you for the alert. Oh, I hope I can give you some nice, calm vibes. Oh, shoot. Chad, I just realized the time. Unfortunately, we are reaching the end of stream here. I do have to go to work. So let's find somebody that I can read into. I do apologize for all of you who just made it in. But I promise, the second we hit partner, the second I can do this longer, I will do much, much longer streams for all of you. Let's see who we can read into. Oh, how are they doing? That's not the vibes for the stream today. You know what we'll read into, chat? Unless we have one of our lovely, lovely ASM artists live right now, we might raid into shrimp. Yes. Let's go raid into shrimp. Oh wait, who's this? Dear Kaido? Okay, we'll check them out real quick. Oh, they're doing comfy Minecraft. I gotta wait for the advertisement to finish so I can confirm they're comfy. Shrimp is actually shrimp. Alright. Go say hello to the lovely deer. Oh, but they're hanging out with other people. We'll raid into shrimps. I can't trust another person to be as calm as the person we're raiding into. So shrimps are always amazing. Go say hello to the lovely shrimps chat. And the raid message is going to be, "Hi, shrimps." Thank you all for coming by today. I had a lovely time streaming with you all. We'll be back today at 4 p.m. MST with We Happy Few, a more intense horror-like game. So for now, you all be good. And I'll see you all later, okay? Here's the raid message. Bye-bye for now.